Here's what Chaim Bloom had to say about the Red Sox offseason, talking to Chad Jennings with The Athletic. We're hoping to do this offseason. I think the trade route needs to be a part of it. That requires another club willing to do something, even if it comes at a cost. It makes sense for us, makes us better. We are very, very actively exploring, and this has been the big question for a lot of Boston fans right now, because this is another team. We've seen this, that now that the curse is broken, it's kind of World Series or bust every year for that club, and yet here they are. You've seen a lot of homegrown talent departing, and you ask, where do they go from here?
Well, I think it's been tough to handle what the media throws at you because the offseason is not over. So what I look at the Red Sox have done so far, I do like the back end of the rotation. Chris Martin, Kenley Jansen, I think those are two positive signings. They've had some good guys that showed up at the end of the year last year. I just think my fear for the Red Sox is, does the perception become reality? And I think what happens there is, if you feel like you're not taking care of your homegrown guys, how are you going to attract other guys to come play for you? And that's very serious, because sometimes players talk. And I remember in 06 and 07 and 08, guys would get to third base and you're like, how's it playing here? I go, this is the greatest place in the world. You know, I loved it. We were doing good. There was a good vibe. People were kind of enamored with what was going on in Boston. Guys wanted to go there. And so I think I don't blame the Red Sox for not giving Xander Bogaerts 11 years. That's a big ask. But then it kind of just seems like it's, you know, they start saying Mookie Betts and John Lester, and now Devers is unsigned. So I just hope it's not a trend that other players start noticing and say, hey, is this the most desirable place for me? Now, on the flip side, when Chaim Bloom says that they're going to make a splash and get a right-handed bat, and it might come at a cost, he's showing his hand a little bit. If I'm another team, I'm like, woo, here we go. Let's make a deal. So I want to hold judgment on their offseason so far, because I think there's a lot of talent still out there, and the Red Sox they're not going to stay put right now. If you go out and say you're going to do something, you have to do it.
Yeah, the Red Sox, I mean, you're talking about a major market team. I think that's what, you know, some of the fan base believes, that they're kind of acting as a small market team. We knew this was going to be some of the case when Chaim Bloom took over for Dave Dombrowski, and just knowing what was happening. We just hate to see it. Look, I've hated to see John Lester leave, Mookie Betts, Xander. These were guys I played with, and I knew what Boston means and meant to them. So as the fan, and as a fan of Boston, it's hurt me as well. But I do believe in Sam Kennedy and that group, and I know what they're about down deep, and they will get it figured out. Mike's got a great point. They need to change the culture, and it's so hard in that Boston market and the media pressure that's every day. Oof. You know, but they will find a way to turn the narrative. It is the Boston Red Sox. Like Mike said, they're not going to be pat for the rest of the winter, but they're going to have to make some big moves. That starting rotation has to get some help. They've got to be healthy. They've addressed the back end of the bullpen. They need to address the lineup. With the Orioles and your hometown team doing what they're doing, this AL East is stacking up really nice. Boston's got to get going.
Say, it brings back memories, yeah. We had epic battles in the AL East. Mike, look, for Chaim Bloom, I mean, this is an extremely challenging situation, because obviously he's under the gun here, looking forward at this very demanding fan base. You need to deliver. Now, he comes from a place like Tampa Bay, where it was about strategic moves. And this one, for example, Hansen signing, I think it's a very strategic move. I think it's going to pay dividends later on. So here he is acting as a maybe GM that doesn't have deep pockets. So thinking smartly, making strategic moves, but then you do have deep pockets. So here it is. You know, is he going to be able to deliver that winner? I think he's feeling the pressure, and it's time to really see these W's and wins materialize under his command. And it remains to be seen. I also will withhold judgment still, because it's early in the offseason. I think they're going to do something.
The outfielder, Yoshida, looks like a really good player. If he comes in and plays like we think he plays, they've got to figure out the middle part of their infield, really. Is Trevor Story now going there? Correa looks unlikely, because if you wouldn't give Xander those dollars, are you going to give Correa those dollars? Do you sign Dansby Swanson and provide a great 28-year-old leader who's a stud, world champion? That could change. So Boston's got a lot of time to figure it out, but they better get going.
Yeah, I think the environment as well, with all these dollars and years that are being thrown around, you start feeling the pressure, you know, because you can be strategic to a certain degree and say, well, this guy's not worth any more than 6 years. But if everyone's given 9 years, you either got to join the party or you just got to take a step back. And I don't think the Red Sox are ever in a position to take a step back.
They certainly aren't. And in John Henry's words, when he introduced Bloom, he said they liked the collaborative thought of the way that they were able to put together a competitive team. And as we know, like we said, the AL East never sleeps. And we know Boston sleeps even less than the AL East does somehow.